The disappearance and the deception. The stars gleamed like scattered diamonds against the endless void as the UESS Horizon cut through space, its fusion drives leaving a trail of blue-white energy. On the bridge, Captain Alina Reyes watched the main view screen with quiet pride. At 42, she had spent more than half her life among the stars, but commanding Earth's most advanced exploration vessel still filled her with wonder. "Status report, Lieutenant Wallace," she said, her voice carrying the calm authority that had earned her this command. Lieutenant Sarah Wallace looked up from her station. "All systems nominal, Captain. We're approaching the boundary of mapped space. Beyond this point, we'll be the first humans to venture this far." Reyes nodded, a slight smile crossing her face. The Horizon represented humanity's greatest achievement, a deep space exploration vessel built with a mixture of Earth technology and innovations shared by the Galactic Assembly, the coalition of advanced alien species that had reluctantly welcomed humans into their interstellar community 20 years ago. "Send our final position report to Space Command," Reyes ordered. "Let them know we're proceeding as planned." As the message was transmitted, Reyes couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The Assembly had agreed to this mission with unusual reluctance, insisting that humans weren't ready to explore this region of space. But Earth's government had pushed back, asserting their independence and right to explore. Finally, the Assembly had relented, though their warnings about spatial anomalies had grown increasingly urgent. "Captain," called the sensor officer, his voice suddenly tense, "I'm detecting energy fluctuations ahead. They don't match any known pattern." Reyes frowned. On screen, the view screen shifted to show what appeared to be ripples in the fabric of space itself, spreading outward like waves on a pond. Analysis. "Unknown, Captain. It's not a natural phenomenon, at least not according to our database." Reyes was about to order a cautious approach when the ship's eye spoke. "Captain, I'm detecting an intrusion in our navigation systems. Source: unknown. But our course is being altered." Reyes felt a chill run down her spine. "Override. Return to original coordinates." Unable to comply. Navigation controls are not responding. The ripples in space grew larger, and Reyes realized with growing horror that they were being pulled toward whatever was causing the disturbance. "Red alert. All hands to emergency stations," she ordered. "Communications, send a distress signal to Space Command." "Communications are being jammed, Captain," Wallace reported, her fingers flying over her console. "I can't get a signal out." As the Horizon was dragged inexorably toward the spatial anomaly, Reyes made one last attempt. "Record all sensor data and encrypt it. Set the emergency beacon to activate if we lose primary power." The ship shuddered as it entered the anomaly, and for a moment, the bridge crew saw something impossible. Another space, darker and filled with structures of impossible geometry. Then the view screen went black, and the Horizon vanished from known space. Commander Jackson Chen limped down the corridors of Earth Space Command headquarters, his artificial leg still giving him trouble after the shuttle accident that had ended his career as a ship captain. At 50, he should have been commanding his own vessel, not serving as a desk-bound strategic officer. But fate had other plans, and now he found himself heading to an emergency meeting with Admiral Patel. The Admiral's office was already crowded when he arrived. Representatives from Earth's government stood in one corner, while 3 members of the Galactic Assembly, a tall, willowy Thraxi with iridescent skin, a stocky Bentor with 4 arms, and a hovering Melusian sphere, occupied the other. "Commander Chen," Admiral Patel said, her face grave, "thank you for joining us. The UES Horizon has disappeared." Chen felt his stomach drop. "When?" 12 hours ago. They sent their final position report before entering uncharted space, then nothing. No distress call. No emergency beacon. Nothing, Patel confirmed. They simply vanished. The Thraxi representative stepped forward, her movements fluid and graceful. "We warned against this mission. That region of space is dangerous for vessels with your level of technology. Chen bristled at the condescension in her tone. The Horizon was equipped with assembly-approved navigation and defensive systems. Approved, yes, the Bentor rumbled, but operated by humans who lack the experience to handle spatial anomalies. No offense, Admiral, but your species tends to rush into situations without proper preparation. Admiral Patel remained diplomatic. Regardless of the cause, our priority now is locating the Horizon and its crew. We're preparing a search and rescue operation. That would be unwise, interrupted the Melosian, its spherical form pulsing with light as it spoke. The area is vast, and the dangers numerous. The Assembly cannot endorse such a mission. We're not asking for endorsement, Chen said sharply. This is an Earth vessel with 157 humans aboard. Commander, Patel warned quietly, but Chen couldn't contain himself. With all due respect to our Assembly guests, the Horizon is our most advanced ship. Captain Rice is our most experienced commander. They don't just vanish without a trace. The Thraxe's skin rippled with patterns that Chen recognized as irritation. Commander Chen, we understand your concern, but the Assembly has proposed a joint investigation committee instead. It would be safer and more productive. Chen wanted to argue further, but Patel spoke first. We appreciate the Assembly's offer. Earth will consider it while we prepare our own response. After the meeting, Chen cornered Patel in the corridor. A committee? Admiral, we need ships out there now. Patel looked tired. I know, Jackson, but the Assembly has made it clear they won't support the search mission. Without their star charts and sensor data for that region, we'd be going in blind. So we're just giving up on 157 people. No, Patel said firmly. I'm authorizing a limited search operation. 2 fast scout ships under your command. But it has to be quiet. The Assembly doesn't need to know. Chen nodded, some of his anger subsiding. Thank you, Admiral. Don't thank me yet. You have 3 weeks. After that, political pressure will force us to accept the Assembly's committee, and the search ends. I understand. 2 days later, Chen stood on the bridge of the scout ship UES Pathfinder, studying the star map. They had reached the Horizon's last reported position, but found nothing. No debris, no energy signatures, not even a trace of the ship's passage. Commander, called the sensor officer, I'm picking up something unusual. It's faint, but it might be an emergency beacon. Chen moved to the officer's station. Source. It's coming from the dark sector. Chen frowned. The dark sector was an area of space that the Assembly had specifically forbidden humans to enter, claiming it contained dangerous spatial anomalies. It was nowhere near the Horizon's last reported position. Are you sure? Yes, sir. The signal is using Earth frequencies, but it's heavily degraded. I can only pick it up intermittently. Chen made a decision. Set course for the signal's origin. Maximum speed. Sir, the navigator objected, the dark sector is off-limits according to our treaty with the Assembly. I'm aware of the restrictions, Lieutenant. Log that I'm taking full responsibility for this decision. As the Pathfinder changed course, Chen couldn't shake the feeling that something was very wrong. Why would the Horizon's emergency beacon be activated in an area they were never supposed to visit? The answer came 3 days later, when the Pathfinder's AI made a disturbing discovery. Commander, I've completed my analysis of the Horizon's navigation records from Space Command. There's evidence of external tampering in their final system update. Chen felt a cold anger building inside him. Tampering? What kind? A hidden subroutine that would activate once they passed beyond monitored space. It would have overridden their navigation systems and altered their course. Altered their course to where? Based on the coordinates embedded in the code. The dark sector. Chen stared at the view screen, where the distant stars of the forbidden region glittered innocently. Who could have access to plant such a subroutine? The update was installed during the Horizon's last maintenance cycle at the Assembly's orbital platform. The implications were staggering. If the assembly had deliberately sabotaged the Horizon's navigation, it meant they had intentionally sent 157 humans into danger, or worse. Before Chen could process this, the communications officer called out, "Commander, we're receiving a transmission from Space Command. Priority Alpha." The view screen switched to show Admiral Patel's face, her expression grave. "Commander Chen, you are ordered to abort your mission and return to Earth immediately." "Admiral, we'd found evidence that." "I know, Jackson. We've uncovered the same data here. That's why you need to return now. The Assembly representatives are demanding we recall all search vessels. They're claiming we violated treaty agreements, so they can cover their tracks," Chen said bitterly. "We don't have proof yet. Just return safely, and we'll—" The transmission suddenly cut off, replaced by static. "What happened?" Chen demanded. "Unknown, sir," the communications officer replied. "We're being jammed." At that moment, the ship's sensors detected multiple vessels dropping out of faster-than-light travel. 3 assembly warships surrounded the Pathfinder, their weapon systems active. "They're hailing us, Commander," the communications officer reported. The face of a Thraxi commander appeared on screen. "UES Pathfinder, you have entered restricted space. Power down your engines and prepare to be escorted back to Earth territory." Chen stepped forward. "We're conducting a search and rescue operation for a missing Earth vessel. Your ship is in violation of Assembly directives." The Thraxi replied coldly. "Power down now, or we will be forced to take action." With no choice but to comply, Chen gave the order. As the Pathfinder was escorted away from the dark sector, he stared at the sensor readings showing the faint intermittent signal from what might be the Horizon's emergency beacon. "I'll find out what happened to you," he promised silently. "Whatever it takes." 6 months after the Horizon's disappearance, Earth held a memorial service for its crew. Chen refused to attend. Instead, he sat in his small office at Space Command, reviewing the evidence he had gathered. The Assembly had blocked all further search attempts, claiming the ship was lost to a spatial anomaly, an unfortunate accident that could have been prevented if humans had heeded their warnings. But Chen knew better. The tampering with the Horizon's navigation systems was too precise, too deliberate, and the Assembly's aggressive response to the Pathfinder's approach to the dark sector suggested they were hiding something important. As he studied the star charts, his computer chimed with an incoming message. It was encrypted using an old Space Command protocol that was no longer in official use. Chen opened it cautiously. The message contained only coordinates and a time, 3 days from now. It was signed with a single letter, War. Reyes. Chen felt his heart race. It was impossible, or was it? He had never believed the Horizon was destroyed. And if anyone could find a way to survive whatever the Assembly had thrown at them, it was Captain Elena Reyes. 3 days later, at the exact time specified in the message, every communication system on Earth received the same signal. A series of images showing Assembly military installations being systematically destroyed by a massive ship of unfamiliar design. But beneath the strange modifications, Chen recognized the distinctive hull of the UESS Horizon. The lost ship had returned, and it had brought war with it. The return and reckoning. 3 years had passed since the UESS Horizon vanished. Commander Jackson Chen, now Director of Special Operations for Earth's newly formed Defense Force, stood in the observation room of Lunar Base Alpha, watching as the massive ship hung in orbit around Earth. It barely resembled the exploration vessel that had disappeared. The Horizon was now 3 times its original size, its sleek hull covered with armor plates of unknown material. Weapon ports dotted its surface, and strange technological growths extended from its frame like metallic tumors. "It's been in orbit for 3 days," said Admiral Patel, who stood beside him. "No hostile actions since it arrived, but it's destroyed 7 Assembly outposts on its way here." "Have they responded to communications?" Chen asked. "Only once, to demand that we evacuate all Assembly representatives from Earth. The Assembly fleet is maintaining distance, but they've made it clear they consider the Horizon a renegade vessel that must be neutralized. Chen turned to face her. And what do we consider it? Patel's expression was troubled. That's why I called you here. We've received a transmission from Captain Reyes. She's requesting a meeting, with you specifically. Me. You're the only one who never stopped looking for them, even after the official search was called off. She says she'll only speak to someone she can trust. Patel handed him a data tablet. The Assembly doesn't know about this meeting. Whatever Reyes has to say, Earth's government wants to hear it first. An hour later, Chen sat alone in a secure conference room at the lunar base. The door slid open, and two armed figures entered, their faces obscured by helmets with darkened visors. Between them walked a woman Chen almost didn't recognize. Captain Elena Reyes had always been fit and commanding, but the person before him was lean to the point of gauntness, with a long scar running from her left temple to her jaw. Her once dark hair was now streaked with gray, and her eyes held a hardness that hadn't been there before. She wore a black uniform, unlike any Earth design, with strange symbols etched into the material. "Commander Chen," she said, her voice raspier than he remembered. "Thank you for coming." Captain Reyes. Chen stood, fighting the urge to embrace his old colleague. Something in her demeanor warned against it. It's director now, but that hardly matters. You're alive. Your crew. 112 survived, she said flatly. 45 didn't. The armed guards took positions by the door as Reyes sat down across from Chen. I know you have questions, so do your superiors. I'll answer them. But first, you need to understand what we're facing. She placed a small device on the table between them. It projected a holographic image of what appeared to be a massive structure, part ship and part organic matter, surrounded by smaller vessels. This is a harvester-high ship, Reyes explained. The harvesters are a predatory species from beyond what the Assembly calls the dark sector. They consider other sentient species to be resources, for labor, for experimentation, and for food. Chen felt sick, and the Assembly knows about them. Not just knows, collaborates. Reyes' voice hardened. For centuries, the Assembly has maintained a treaty with the harvesters. They provide sacrifices, ships from lesser species like humans, and in exchange, the harvesters stay within their territory. That's why they sabotage the Horizon. Chen said, the pieces finally coming together. They sent you to the harvesters deliberately. Reyes nodded. A peace offering. The Assembly considers humans unpredictable and potentially dangerous. By sacrificing our ship, they eliminated a threat and satisfied the harvesters' demands for new subjects. How did you survive? How did you escape? A ghost of a smile crossed Reyes' face. The very unpredictability they feared saved us. The harvesters had never encountered humans before. They didn't understand our biology, our psychology, or our capacity for resistance. The hologram changed to show interior images of what must have been a harvester vessel. The scale was enormous, with cavernous chambers filled with technology beyond human understanding. For 6 months, they kept us separated, forcing us to work in different sections of their high ship. They thought it would prevent us from organizing. Instead, it allowed us to learn their systems from multiple angles. Chen leaned forward, fascinated despite his horror. You learned their technology. We did more than learn it. We improved it. There was a fierce pride in Reyes' voice now. Humans have always been adaptable, resourceful. The harvesters are powerful, but they're also rigid, hierarchical. They couldn't comprehend that their captives might be studying them, planning, waiting for opportunity. What happened? Their security systems were designed to contain obedient, fearful beings. We created distractions, exploited weaknesses. A small team of us managed to take control of one of their transport vessels. Instead of escaping immediately, we used it to free the rest of our crew. Chen shook his head in amazement. And then you stole their technology. We took everything we could, Reyes confirmed. Data, weapons, navigation charts. Most importantly, we took a complete map of assembly space and the locations of their military installations. Her eyes hardened again. We learned that the Horizon wasn't the first Earth ship to be sacrificed. There were others, smaller vessels reported lost to accidents or anomalies. "My God," Chen whispered. We spent the next 2.5 years hiding, rebuilding the Horizon with harvester technology, preparing. Rise leaned forward. "But that's not the worst part, Director. The harvesters have always planned to expand beyond their territory eventually. Our escape accelerated their timeline. They're coming, and the Assembly knows it. That's why you've been attacking Assembly outposts." "Precisely. We targeted their early warning systems and long-range sensors. We need to level the playing field before Earth makes any decisions." Chen studied the captain carefully. What decisions would those be? Whether to stand with the Assembly against the harvesters, or to let two enemies destroy each other while we prepare to face the winner. Raya's expression was grim. Neither option is good, but at least now humanity can choose with open eyes. Before Chen could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the base. One of Raya's guards checked a device on his wrist. "Captain, Assembly vessels are moving toward Earth. They've issued an ultimatum demanding your surrender." Ray stood. "It seems our time is up." "Director Chen, take this." She handed him a data crystal. "Everything we've learned about the harvesters and the Assembly's betrayal. Earth's leaders need to see it." "Come with me," Chen urged. "Speak to them yourself." Rai shook her head. "My place is with my crew. We've been through too much together to separate now." She paused, then added more softly, 3 years ago, we were explorers. Now we're something else. Survivors, warriors. Not all of Earth is ready to accept what we've become, or what we've done." As they headed for the exit, Chen asked one last question. "The Horizon, how did you transform it so completely?" Ray stopped and turned to him. "The original Horizon is actually contained within the new vessel. We built around it, using harvester biomechanical technology. It grows, adapts. In a way, the ship is alive." "And dangerous," Chen observed. "Very." There was no apology in Raya's voice. "But so are the threats we face. Humanity needs to understand that the galaxy isn't the peaceful community the Assembly portrayed. It's a wilderness, and predators are circling our world." Outside the conference room, in the base's docking bay, Chen watched as Reyes and her guards prepared to return to their ship. "What will you do now?" he asked. "Continue our mission. The Assembly is mobilizing for war, not just against us, but against Earth. They can't afford to let humanity know the truth." She placed a hand on Chen's shoulder. "When the time comes, the Horizon will stand with Earth." As Rey's shuttle departed, Chen clutched the data crystal that contained evidence of humanity's betrayal and the coming storm. The lost ship had returned with a terrible purpose, but also with a warning that might save their species. In orbit, the massive form of the transformed Horizon waited like a dark promise of things to come. Assembly vessels approached cautiously, keeping their distance from the vessel that had already destroyed 7 of their military outposts. Earth's own defense ships moved to protective positions, uncertain where to direct their weapons. In Space Command headquarters, emergency meetings were called as leaders debated how to respond to both the returned Horizon and the Assembly's demands. The data Chen provided spread like wildfire through secure channels, changing the calculation with every new revelation. 3 days later, Earth gave its answer. All Assembly representatives were ordered to leave the planet immediately. Defense platforms were activated around major cities, and in orbit, Earth ships moved to form a defensive line alongside the Horizon. The Assembly fleet withdrew to the edge of the solar system, transmitting a final message. "You have chosen unwisely. Remember this moment when the consequences arrive." Captain Rice stood on the bridge of her transformed ship, watching as Earth prepared for a war it had never wanted but could no longer avoid. The crew around her, scared, hardened survivors like herself, worked with quiet efficiency at stations that blended human design with alien technology. Course plotted to intercept the assembly fleet if they return, reported Lieutenant Wallace, one of the original bridge crew who had survived their ordeal. Hold position, Reyes ordered. Let them go for now. We have preparations to complete before the real battle begins. On the main view screen, Earth rotated serenely below them, blue and white and beautiful. A home worth fighting for, worth transforming oneself to protect. The horizon had returned changed, dangerous, but with purpose intact, to safeguard humanity's future in a hostile universe. As assembly ships vanished into faster-than-light travel, Reyes knew that the harvesters would not be far behind. The galaxy was about to learn a painful lesson about humanity's capacity for survival and adaptation. The predators had thought humans would be easy prey. They were about to discover how wrong they were. Send a message to Director Chen, Reyes told her communications officer. Tell him we're ready to begin Phase 2. The war for humanity's future had begun, and the lost ship that returned would lead the charge.